Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our training program for TPSU. Uh, and we'll just start in another minute or two as we let people come in to this Zoom meeting. And just so you know, it is a Zoom meeting, so we can see all of you. It is being recorded for posterity. If there's anything that you want to say that you say, oh, I don't want this to be recorded, we'll edit it out. But so feel free to ask questions. You can also uh, maybe Isabella and DJ both monitor the chat and the Q&A, but you can also ask any question at any time during the program or the training, and we'll have some time at the end as well, but we don't want to save that. And we do ask if you put yourself on mute until you want to talk and ask, but we definitely want to make this interactive, so feel free anytime, any questions here. So with that, I'm gonna get started. I'm going to share my screen and start with our presentation on this. So I'll start the slideshow from the beginning. So just to give you a sense of what we're trying to do, we'll do some introductory remarks. I will today at the beginning. Then we will go into all the logistics, the content, the funding, what it looks like to do a program. We have a very specific, actually 44-step process in this whole, from the time that we select a location and a date until 7 days afterwards. So we've done that. So then we will go into what's our recruiting, our marketing, social media. How do we get people to come? You know, because I think we have a great program and we deliver really, really good content. But it seems like the most important thing to you guys is us getting plan sponsors to be in the room. And that's what we focus a lot on. At 2:30, we'll have a panel discussion of adjunct lecturers, your peers, talking about the engagement at the program, the content that seems to resonate, how they're dealing with funding. It's getting harder and harder to get funding. The industry seems to, assets go up and budgets go down. So I don't know how that works, but it seems to happen, as well as, the best on follow-up. And then the final is we have a special guest, Rebecca Auerhan, from 401k marketing, and we have a collaboration with her, and she has we have a program specifically for follow-up, but it's also a time for you to ask questions, what we can do for those of you who have done programs, how we can improve, and what you'd like to see from us. So that's just a preview of the agenda. And just to give you a sense, and Isabella, let's make sure we send this slide presentation to everyone afterwards. It's okay, there's nothing here confidential. So just to give you a sense of the people, I'm the CEO, Diane is the CAO, Chief Administrative Officer. Isabella, Dr. Wagner is in charge of logistics, and she works with Ivory McDonald. Yanni Diaz is our liaison with the hundreds of associations that we partner with. Dan Hall is advisor development, sales. DJ Caney is technology. Agnes is in charge of recruiting. She has a group of people who are calling and recruiting plan sponsors. Jasona is in charge of all media, all marketing, but a lot of focus on social media. And Andy Kelleher, I'm not sure he's on the call or whatever. We're not really getting into it, but we do have a new service called the RPA due diligence service, which is starting to get a tremendous amount of traction, where plan sponsors engage with us to conduct benchmarking and RFPs on their advisor. So if we have time, we'll get into that, or if you have questions, but that's really not part of TPSU. So just to give you a sense, this is on our website and it's on the trial website under the tab. Is it under designations or training? What's the tab? It's under DJ. Do you remember? Do you recall?
I don't recall, Jasona. Sorry, I can look it up.
Okay, so it's on our trial website. We keep this up to date. We change it and revise it on a monthly basis. And just, not going through the whole thing is there are zones, there are about 80 educational zones, meaning there's enough plans within a reasonable driving distance. We like at least 1,500, $3 to $100 million plans so that the recruiting is viable. Places like Southern California, when we go from, UCLA all the way down to San Diego, we have 7 or 8 zones. So concentrated areas we split up. Arizona is 1 zone. And so with the pandemic, we've had a lot of success with doing virtual programs. So there are 3 types of programs we do. One is the completely in person. The other is a hybrid where we'll feel like it's probably not realistic that we're going to get 15, 20, 30 people in the room, but we might be able to get, 10 to 15, and then we'll also do some virtual attendees. We're doing a hybrid, for example, in Cleveland next week. And then there is the completely 100% virtual. So the entire country is open, but only certain parts of the country where we'll either do an in-person or a hybrid. If you do 2 programs a year, you have exclusivity. Like in Florida, for example, we have actually 4 zones, and those are all exclusive zones. There are areas like Arizona where we only do 1 program a year, so there's an opportunity to do another program in that area. So all of this is on the website in the trial under our training. And then just to give you a sense, places like New York and California, we break them up and lots of zones available or out there. Just wanted a few stats on how we've done, and we've been doing programs since 2013. We've come a long way. We started, I think, with 8.6 companies, and we are now up to, in 2024, we're starting out very strong, 22.2 companies. Last year, we're at 20.6. That's not people, that's companies. We have, this year, we're averaging 28.6 people. Last year was 24.6, which was up from 21.7 in the previous year, and certainly up from 10 in 2013. You'll see a big spike in 2020 and 21, and that's when we were primarily doing virtual programs, and we got greater attendance, shorter programs. But we really believe very strongly in the value of in-person programs. And we dipped a little bit in 2022 because people were still, if you remember, that was the Delta variation came out in the beginning of the year. People were still very reluctant to come out. I think we saw a really strong, last year, but this, so far, this is our best. We're starting out the year with our best numbers. And also, I know this is a very busy chart. It just shows you the show rate. We go through a very, so we have 594 programs. So when I say 600, I'm not exaggerating too much. We've had a total of 10,639 companies attending, and 12,836 people there. What that means, for you is we've got a lot of brand. A lot of people have come, plan sponsors have come. We're promoting, for every 1 person who attends, there's another, 50 to 100 people that we're marketing to. We're on social media, and we'll go through all of that. We have 401k TV, which has 33,000 subscribers. It's a weekly. So we're out there. And if you're lucky enough to get a zone where somebody has, like in Denver right now is open for the first time in 10 years, you have hundreds and hundreds of alumni, people that we can invite back. And we do find that people come back quite often. But this shows you like the show rate on there. So the final column on the show rate is in 2024 is 57.43. So from when we started, all the people who have companies who have registered, 57.43 have attended. It's a pretty consistent number. And you might say, well, why don't we get more? Well, we like to get more, and we do as much as we can. But if this is a very, very reasonable, good number. If you look at the second from the right column, it's once we've confirmed them, and we spend a lot of time and a lot of energy on confirming, 84.51% so far this year. Last year, almost 77%. So when when we're able to get them on the phone, that is the that's what we get in the 75 to 80% range. And in terms of the types of companies and the size, in 2022, the median participants 182, which is pretty consistent, hasn't changed a tremendous amount. The median assets last year were probably our highest, 15.45 million. This year we're at about 12.5, the year before. So it's the 10 to 12 million dollars, the median. If you look at the average, it's much, much higher. And then you look at the percentages, we don't really focus on that 1 to 3 million unless you tell us that you want to. But we also find that it's maybe harder to get them because they don't have the kind of resources and pay as much attention to their 401k or 403b. Our sweet spot is at 3 to 10 and 10 to 100. So if you look at, last year, that was like 63% of the people. This year it's even higher, 71, actually 73%. So it's consistent. Sorry. And then, over 100 million. That's not our focus. We do get some very, very large plans. And the value there is, even if you may not be able to land that plan or get that plan, sort of validates the program, and people want to hear from larger companies, especially well-known companies. We had Kia Motors at our Orange County program just recently, and we had Fluor, FLUORE, which is a construction company with 5,000 employees. But our sweet spot and our focus is that 3 to 100 million there. And, we tend to be in that almost 200 employees.
Excuse me, Fred.
So, yeah.
We had one question before we move off of stats. Do you have any stats on how many plans were won? That's the question.
So we measure what we can manage. So we do not manage the follow-up on that. We don't get that information from the plans, from the adjunct lecturers on that. We are seeing a very high percentage are willing to take meetings, but we're not involved in the close. We do try to help with the follow-up and enable the follow-up, but we don't do the follow-up. So we can't really measure something that we don't really know about. But it's a good question on it. And it will also vary, just like I've been in the prospecting lead business for a long, long time, longer than I care to say. And It does vary from advisor to advisor, which is why we got into the training business, because we felt like those advisors that were better trained, better equipped, were going to have a higher close rate on that. I think that what we're hearing, and this is just anecdotally, you know, a 15 to 20% close rate, some as high as 40, but it also is over time, right? If you're interested in doing the program, you say, I'm going to do one program and see how many plans I got. It's probably not worth doing, because it takes time to do a program, to close a 401k or 403b. I don't have to tell you guys that. It's a 18 to 24 month cycle. Sometimes you can get lucky and get some more and close it quicker. So it takes about, 3 programs every 6 months before you can really say, yeah, this seems to be working. It's also, which we'll talk about, you have to have a very systematic process, a follow-up process, where it's not just right after the program, but every month, every 3 months, which is why we engaged with and collaborated with Rebecca Hourhan at 401k Marketing to provide you with content that you can use to engage constantly with your prospects. So that's a good question.